This is an early model, almost kind of in the design stage of the project itself, of our Groningen project. It's a boga, and actually there's not much different from what you'll see on site. You could say that a lot of the ideas, a lot of the strategies, a lot of the ambitions we had for the site are there, right from the competition. The buildings might not be exactly the same shape or the same orientation or even material, but for us that was not the most important thing. It was actually, you know, what does it take to attract people back into the city? How do you make this an area of the city that has landscape and living and working all in one place? 10 years, things change, yeah, but as long as the strategy stays the same. As we move around from the shopping street, the building changes again, and I think it's important that on the Bloemsingel, it's actually a much more busy road. There's a lot of cars coming in the morning and coming through the city. And so the building has a kind of harder urban edge. And the roof terrace is another level, a different level, because the buildings around it are higher. And so therefore, again, it's kind of respecting the roof level. But it has a kind of different atmosphere on this side than, let's say, in the shopping street or the plain that you see here. Also, what we wanted to do was to actually, the splaying of the two buildings was quite well thought of in terms of trying to capture some of the old city and the buildings around it in a new way. So again, pulling the old existing city into the project. And so that's something we tried to do. We've just come up from the shopping street onto the Binnentuin of Schots 1, the green building. And again, a completely different atmosphere once again. We're on the first level. We're actually above the large supermarket, the Jumbo supermarket. And 100 apartments, roughly, about 40 different types of apartments. And I think it was also, we wanted to try and bring the light into the building. So it wasn't just a hard wall of a kind of courtyard, but actually you get these kind of other views, long and short distant views. And so the light can come through these lower elements. And so we increased the height of some parts of the building and lowered it in others. And then you get these views straight out, past existing buildings, through to old parts of the city. As we move into a completely different atmosphere, we come away from the shopping street, move round into the courtyard, the Binnentuin of the wooden building, Schots 2. And again, this had to do something completely different. The building was actually hard up against existing three-storey houses on this side. But then it had to kind of get to the city scale of the shopping street that we've just come from. And what we did was actually, the building moves and comes up over the top. What we had to do was actually create houses on the ground. At the same time, we had all these shops that we wanted to create on the shopping street. So what we did was we created a new kind of ground surface that ramped up. And so these houses actually have their own front doors, which can be accessed from here, the Binnentuin, but at the same time also be accessed from a staircase on the shopping street. And so without trying very hard, what happened was there's lots of different types of houses in this area. So you get a kind of 2-storey house or 2.5-storey, and it changes all the way up to a kind of 5-storey townhouse.